Good morning, everyone. We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, via YouTube streaming, and also via Skype group. Each one of you is welcome to this morning's live streaming, Saturday, 13th of July 2018. There is a question, but the question is quite narrative form, and an explanation is needed. The other is, in the month of July, the full moon is always important, but the full moon in the month of July is dedicated to the Master. And there is a tradition that we take the offerings to the Master. And this is known as Guru Dakshina. Dakshina means offering to the Master. When you get initiated or bath, you offer something to the Master. What is Guru Dakshina? Is it offering material things in any form to the Master? Depending on the individual's financial status, we show these things. This has been happening not now, but from the times of Holy Prophet. Holy Prophet had two important disciples, Hazrat Abu Bakr, he was very simple, and Hazrat Ali. Hazrat Ali was rich, he was disciple as well as the son-in-law of Holy Prophet. And Hazrat Abu Bakr was the father-in-law of Holy Prophet. Hazrat Ali was quite rich, and he always felt that Prophet's emphasis goes on Hazrat Abu Bakr. So he was always there to show off his wealth, that he can do more things. It happened once, there was a war to be, and Holy Prophet called his Sahabis and asked them, what do you have for the Rasul and Allah for the war? Then it is said that Hazrat Ali came with a lot of stuff. Hazrat Ali brought half of the stuff and for the Rasul and Allah, and the rest half he left for his family. Hazrat Payghambar sallallahu alaihi wasallam inquired from Ali, Hazrat Ali, what did you bring for Allah and the Rasul? He said, Hazrat, whatever I had, half of that I brought for Allah and his Rasul, and half I left. And what about the family? I left half of that for the family. And he was feeling very happy that this is the occasion he can bring down Hazrat Abu Bakr, because he is poor. Thereafter Hazrat Abu Bakr came, and in his things he had even the sweeping broom, and he was wearing the clothes made out of the coarsely woven top, and in place of button he used the thorns of a tree. Seeing this, Holy Prophet asked Abu Bakr, what did you bring for Rasul, Allah and the Rasul? He said, whatever I had brought for Allah and the Rasul. What did you leave for the family? I left the name of Allah and the Rasul for the family. Hazrat Ali could not imagine this. And thereafter, a little while after, it is said that the angels came down, and they were having the same type of attire as that of Hazrat Abu Bakr. He said Allah Ta'ala liked this particular gesture of Abu Bakr so much that he instructed all the angels to put on the same garb. So the material offerings to the Master is immaterial. Certainly he is not interested in that. The real Guru Dakshina means to spread the message of the tariqat. Message. What is the message of the Master? Saints follow the saintly path. The Sheikh follows the tariqat. So spread the message of the tariqat to the people. Whether the new seeker continue the practice or not is his wish, not your concern. But they should know about the tariqat and the sheikhs, the golden chain. We have to assure, as a seeker, as part of your Guru Dakshina, you have to make sure that whatever they want, our doors are always open for them. Never criticize them. Naqshbandi tariqat is the path of love. We make them aware of it. When the time is right, they will come. This is the real Guru Dakshina. The second part of the talk relates to the question which is narrative, as I mentioned. Someone said, moon revolves around the earth. This is right. The earth rotates on its own axis, again right. Then why did I take this? Moon represents the mind, serenity. That is the nature of the moon. But it goes through its phases. That is the nature of the mind. Mind goes through various phases. Sometimes it is in full moon, sometimes it is new moon, and then the varying phases of it. And although earth represents two things. Number one, it represents the space where all the other elements exist, and also it represents the earth element. These are the two things important. Moon revolves around the earth. Your mind revolves around the earth element in you. Earth element means the body. Body and mind are interconnected to one another. Body has its own inertia. If there is anything discomfort in the body, the mind is affected by it. So the moon revolving around the earth means the moon, the mind, moves according to the physical body. And the earth rotates around its own axis. There is a physical mind. The body has its own mind. Every part of your body has its own mind. So that is moving, rotating around its own axis. Everything on the earth is rotating. Your hands, your feet, your mind, everything is rotating around its own axis. And that which it revolves around the axis is fixed, it does not move. All movement takes around the axis, but axis remains fixed. There is something in the mind which is fixed. This is serenity. That is the essential nature of the mind. Everything revolves around that serenity, that axis. The axis of each earth element, everything on the earth, the axis of that is, you can say, serenity. You can say harmony. Whatever you want to give it a name, it revolves around that. And the axis that remains still, constant, represents zero. So everything is moving around that space which has nothing else in it. That is just emptiness. Everything revolves around that. This is the relation between the moon and the earth. Moon revolves around its own axis, that is, mind has its own inertia. But at the same time, mind revolves around the earth, which is right as well. And the earth revolves around its own axis, and at the same time, everything that is on the earth, that has the earth element, revolves around its own axis. But this earth, the physical body, revolves around the sun. Sun represents the energy, the life force. Without the energy, nothing can, there will be no movement. So the earth revolving around the sun is significant that it is guided by that. It is activated by the energy of the sun. And sun rotates on its own axis, creating a nad, creating a sound, which is again zero, x, shunya, constant. It is a better word, unmoving, than constant or still. Unmoving. And in fact, the entire solar system revolves. In fact, the entire solar system revolves around a giant star that rotates around its own axis, shunya. This goes on and on. And this creates harmony. Pythagoras calls it the harmony of the universe. At the time when human body, you are being born, a certain type of harmony is created by the movements of the planets and the stars. At the time of birth, they gather from around the earth's horizon and create a harmony. This harmony determines the nature of your health and how things will move. If somehow the whole emphasis of meditation is to create and maintain the same harmony that was there at the time of birth, then human body has chakras. Chakras, they are the movement of the energy. Sometimes it happens when energy gets stuck and it is not moving. Then external force or a push is needed in order for the energy to move. And this energy moves in spirals. It is like this is moving, it is stuck at the point. Sometimes you see a fan, its blade gets stuck. You give it a push, taking eye stick or something, you give it a movement, it starts moving. And it, because it was stuck, when it begins, a push is given, it starts moving fast at a faster speed, and then suddenly it pushes out of its axis to move to the next stage. Each chakra or the psycho center is moving around its axis, and then when the movement is fast, it moves from there and attains to the next axis. This means at each point of the universe there is a non-moving, something which does not move, which forms an axis for the rotation of energy. This means at each point of the universe, just as your inner universe, there are various chakras, each chakra is moving on its own axis. That axis of the cosmos, that axis around which everything is moving, is the same. Just as the space, you have a house, it was an empty space. The house was being constructed. You had a plan, a master bedroom, 2 more bedrooms, the living room area, the kitchen area, the restroom area, the laundry area. All the space is same, but for specific purposes. Each space is blocked and designed in a particular way. The ambience in the laundry will differ than in the restroom area, than in the living room area or the kitchen, because each space is now being designed for a specific role. Basically, the space is same, but because of the function that it has to be, the role that it has to perform, its ambience differs. So too, all the centers, all those things that are there in the body, they remain, they act as axle, vacuum. Living room revolves around an axis. Kitchen revolves around an axis. The most important thing in the kitchen that comes with the combination of the fridge and the stove. Everything else revolves around that. Around the fridge we make some cupboards. Around the stove we make some cupboards. Then we make counters, and so the soul of the kitchen is the stove and the fridge. Without these two, of these two, the stove is the most important ingredient. Without that, kitchen will not be. Sometimes if you cannot afford the fridge in the beginning, then you can manage without a fridge. The soul of the kitchen is the stove, the cooking medium. The soul of the living room is that piece which is used for sitting. It may be an ordinary living room set, it may be an expensive, it may be a custom design, it may be exotic, whatever it is. But basically it remains, and without that it is not a sitting room. In the dining room, the dining table is the soul. So too, can you imagine a laundry without the arrangement for the washing? It can be an ordinary washing sink. It can be a washing machine. It can be washing machine and the dryer. And in the restroom, do you think without the toilet bowl will it be a resting room? So it revolves around something which is considered to be the soul or the Atman or the self or axis. In the bedroom, the bed, because it is a bedroom. So in the same way, it is true. It means each point of the universe there is a vacuum which forms an axis for rotation of energy. Energy rotates around an axis. Energy rotates around an axis. And this axis is the cosmic presence or cosmic being, and within you, within the human body, it is Atman or soul. Moon revolves around the earth revolves around its own axis, and everything it does two movements. It revolves around a greater element, and also it revolves around its own axis. The earth revolves on its own, around its own axis, and it revolves around the sun. The moon revolves around the earth and around its own axis. Your mind revolves around its own axis as well as around the earth element body. Body revolves around its own axis as well as around the mind. Let my friend finish his sermon. That is why there is a connectivity or relationship between the mind and the body. It is not that the body and the mind are separate. They appear to be separate, but there is a deep connection between the body and the mind. If you consume something around through the body, it affects the mind, and if there is any something is affecting the mind, it affects the body's functionality. So it is the body-mind realm, not that body is separate from the mind. And the earth revolves around its axis and around the sun. Sun moves around its axis, and because of that movement, a sound is created, because sun represents the energy, and everything, the moon is reflecting that energy, the earth is reflecting that. So the energy that sun creates, and because of the movement around its axis, a sound is created, and that humming sound is considered to be the resonates with Om. In meditation, when we begin, we start, the process continues, there is a humming sound. That's why the bird called hummingbird is considered as the symbol of meditation. When it's flapping its wings, a humming sound is created. So everything is interconnected with one another, and that which remains unmoving, that which is axis, that which is axle, around which all movement takes place, is zero, is nothing or no mind or something that remains still in you. You are talking. You can talk out of your chaos, or you can talk out of your stillness, out of your harmony, out of your inner oneness. Then it has a transforming effect on wherever this sound wave goes. So the moon revolves around the earth rotates on its own axis. Everything on the earth is also rotating around the axis. Only the axis is still, unmoving. The constant, it remains unmoving. The earth in turn revolves around the sun. Sun rotates around its own axis, creating the cosmic sound. Rotates around the axle, which is zero, which is nothingness, all the chakras and everything, and this creates the harmony of the cosmos. This creates inner harmony as well. So this is in response to that narrative question. Only this much for this morning. Until tomorrow, take care and do have a pleasant day.